Hey folks, Dan Fedor here. Thought I'd post a new video of the NEO Scavenger space prototype, this time with some commentary. Some users got back to me last week. Basically said, very nice Dan, but we would like to know what the hell's going on, so I'm going to take a couple minutes to kind of walk you through how I got to where I was in the last video and what's going on there. So just as a quick introduction, this is the space prototype for NEO Scavenger. And what that means is it's another game in the NEO Scavenger universe, except this one takes place in space. And the basic premise is building spaceships and then crewing it and flying it around doing stuff in space. Think of it kind of like NEO Scavenger smashed together with some RimWorld and FTL. So what I'll do here first, I've got a clear scene. I'm going to use a hotkey to load up all the game data. And this is the ship from Friday's test video. But what I'll do is I'll clear the scene. And the idea is to get a ship together here that's going to have rooms connected by airlock, so I can show off some of the systems I've been working on, namely the pressure sensors for the environmentals on the ship, some power conduits, and then just generally how the gas kind of propagates through the ship and interacts with those systems. So first things first, we have nothing right now. It's just blank slate. And usually what I do is I lay down some pretty large tiles. These are a 3x3, so I don't have to put down as many individual tiles. But as you can see, as I lay down tiles, these little red grids are appearing. And in fact, if I put one down here, what you're going to see is some sort of blank space is reserved because I've gone outside the bounds of the previously laid out tiles. So this is not terribly different than the NEO Scavenger item grid stuff. It's basically blue grids for places where it's valid to put down, red grids where it's not. Actually, I'll turn off the overlay there so you can just see the part that's relevant to the piece I'm playing with. So you put down some floor here, just so we have something to work with, and I'm going to start by putting down some closed doors because I'm going to want to show off gas moving through these doors as I open them. So assuming the exterior wall is going to be down here somewhere, I'll leave enough room for the pieces I want to put in each compartment, and so we'll just say two units long for each of these. Just so you know, roughly a human is going to be 3x1-ish, so that's why these doors are all 3 grid spaces apart from bulkhead to bulkhead. Another quick point, you'll notice that the grid turns red when you can't put something down, and right now it's possible to actually put a door out in open space with nothing beneath it, but the point later on in the game is, or later on in development, is that pieces will only be able to be put in certain places where the infrastructure exists. So right now this fridge can only go down where there is a floor, which is why it turns red as I move away from the floor. And it can also only go down when there is a wall piece backing to it. And right now there aren't any valid places, but you can see as I pass over here, that one backing square turns blue as I pass over. So just to give you an idea of how this layout's going to work, it is going to be built on layers with probably structural stuff, and then walls, and then decorative and functional items, and then I don't know, maybe multiple levels. People have asked about multiple levels, and yes, maybe there will be multiple levels. I don't want to promise that, but I certainly want it, so I'll give that a shot. And then whether or not there's going to be a roof, we'll have to see. I mean, it'll be pretty to look at, but I kind of want the game to be from the perspective of the crew on the ship. So you're not going to be looking at a beautiful outside shot of your ship almost ever. Instead, you're going to be seeing the world through the things that the crew sees. So like the monitors on the ship, and maybe if there are portals that they can look out through the ship, but they're not going to see an external view of their ship unless maybe in dry dock or something. Anyway, getting back to building, so let's lay down the floor so it looks like we built on actual actual floor here, and now that I'm doing this, I'm actually seeing a bug. I can't put floor down after the door, so I'll just remove that door and then put it back again. Yeah, you didn't see that. That's fine. And we'll put up some walls, like so. There we go. So this would actually be probably enough to show the example, but it might happen so quick. Depressurization might happen so quickly you may not notice it. So what I'm going to do then is add two more corridors on the side that sort of feed into this one, just so that there's more stuff to watch in the example. So what that means is I'm going to take another door. I'm going to use a key shortcut to rotate it, and then use it again to rotate it again up here like that. And throw down some more floor. Oh, of course. See, I just made the same mistake twice. Alright, so let's get that door in there. There we go. And we'll finish up these other sides here. Probably what I'll do to make this a little bit more visual, so I'll knock out these two walls, put down a door there, and then build out the floor to support that, like so. Yeah, what the heck. I'll throw these guys down. I've just not learned to skip that mistake, but someday I will. Okay, and because I'm anal, I'm going to round those out. Okay, doors back in, like so, and then walls. And I'll use the scroll keys to move up a bit, see what we're doing. Okay, so we have a self-contained ship here. Now I think what we're going to need is, let's throw in a battery. We're going to need a power supply, and right now the only thing I've got to play with is a battery. Which comes pre-charged with, I think it's like 49 or so kilowatt hours of power, which is enough for all of the detectors to run on for a while. I just have to figure out where I put it. I thought I alphabetized, but I did. I'm just not seeing it. Okay, so we got a battery, and the thing that I want to show is the alarms. So what I can do is I can try placing these. These are alarms in the red state, but you could theoretically place them in the green state or the off state, and they'll just switch on or off based on whether they're receiving power. But the red is easy to see, so we'll just start by putting that guy down. So I'm going to want one of these probably in each room, just so we can watch the stuff happen. I'll put it probably there for wiring reasons. And then ditto for that room and that room. And then I guess we'll do the same thing on this side. Yeah. Put them across the way just because I think things are going to get cluttered if I don't. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. I have to wire these up now somehow. So a lot of what I've been working on lately is you place these things on the ship, and you have to run power conduits from the thing you want to power them to the thing you want powered. And that's a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? It may be too anal, it may be too complicated for the game, but for now, I wanted things to be really kind of realistic. So the idea was you have to run the conduit yourself. It's not just automatically supplied in the ship, and I'm kind of hoping that that will make it interesting later when your ship takes a hit and one of these conduits is knocked out and you have to reroute power somehow. Of course, that's pie in the sky right now. I'm just getting basic systems running. So anyway, we'll lay down some conduit, and I'm not going to put conduit here because there's an L section I can put there. I'm just going to put the straight ones, and maybe what I'll have to do later is do some sort of creature comfort type stuff where this automatically generates T intersections and L intersections, or L curves as appropriate, but right now it's all do it by hand. So I'm going to run some up this way, and I've got a conduit L section here. Got one there. I'm going to probably want to route this way and around this corner, so I'll put that out now. And I've also got these junctions. Now there's two different junctions. These red ones will run power. These other ones are for signals, which I've been doing in some other blog posts for transmitting signals between things that provide data and things that show data. Like if there's a control panel up on the bridge of the ship and you want to see what's going on with equipment across the ship, you have to run conduits like this, not only for the power but to get the signal from that thing to the bridge. And similarly for any controls. So if you want to control your airlocks from afar, you're going to have to run conduit from that airlock to the control panel. That's the yellow conduit junction. This is just going to supply power to the surrounding grid spots, which are where our detectors are sitting. And we've got another one here, another one here, and then we'll just round out the rest of those conduit placements. I think that covers those. Okay, so we're not going to start this up yet, just because I'm going to throw down a few lights. Partially just because it looks nicer, but it also might make things a little easier to see. I won't put them everywhere though. That's probably good for now. Okay, so we've got a bunch of stuff set up here, and the next thing I'm going to do is switch to crew sim mode. So I'll click on crew sim, and all that does is it switches to basically a live mode. It'll throw one crew member down by default, choose a random spot in the ship, and he'll just start doing his thing. He's doing push-ups right now. Her name is Bedford, and she was doing push-ups because she felt like she needed a sense of achievement. And prior to that, she was looking at an old photo because she felt like she was missing her family, and now she feels like she wants privacy, so she's just avoiding all eye contact, which is pointless right now because no one else is on the ship, but there's only so many things she can do right now because my AI is pretty basic. So she'll just keep probably cycling through those different tasks to make these counters get as close to zero as possible. These are like discomfort counters. There's no food, so she won't go seeking food. There's no other crew members, so she can't seek out ways of being altruistic or self-esteem yet. There's nothing she can do on her own. So anyway, she's doing her thing. Unfortunately, she's suffocating right now because none of the ship has pressure, which is why all these are still red. And they are red because they're powered. In fact, what I can do is quickly switch back to edit ship mode, load up my pieces again, and I'll throw one more of these alarms, which is what I did on Friday too, and I just attach it to a wall someplace where there is no power routed to it, and just so you can see what happens here. If I go back to crew sim mode, it immediately switches off, well, within a second or two switches off when it realizes it has no power. All of these run on roughly a 1 second update timer, just so that they're not spamming the frame rate update cycle. This guy obviously spawned outside the ship. Now he wants to go there. Tough, he can't do that because there's no walkway that'll get him there. Again, dumb AI. So we'll ignore him for now and move on to the gas propagation. So one thing I can do in the ship is I can use a hotkey to just dump gas into a room. And what I'll do is I'll hit the O key in this room with the sphere, just as an example. And hitting it once, this will switch to green because it'll throw enough gas in there to be atmospheric pressure. And right now it's all oxygen, which, as any space buffs will know, is a terrible fire hazard, but that's just the way I've hooked up the hotkeys. So right now we've got, let's see, I'll turn on my overlay. You can see each hex has kind of a debug readout of how much O2 and CO2 and I think nitrogen it has in there. It's a little too small for me to read at this current zoom level. But, oh, wait, I can zoom in, can't I? Yes, I can. There we go. How about that? I forgot I had that feature. So yeah, 101.3 kilopascals of oxygen, nothing else in there. So that's just to give you an idea of what happened when I hit the button. So I'll turn off the overlay again. And these detectors will trip at roughly half 1 ATM, or half of atmospheric pressure, which I think works out to just over 50 kilopascals. And I use that number because that's considered the pressure at which critical hypoxia sets in for crew to basically make sound judgment and to think straight and not eventually to suffocate. They need a certain amount of atmospheric pressure and oxygen partial pressure. And critical hypoxia is a danger below half of 1 ATM or half of atmospheric pressure. So these will trip below that and turn red. So right now this guy's holding his pressure. So what I could do, I could actually open the doorway between the two. And since these rooms are probably slightly different sizes, there isn't enough gas to make them both 1 atmosphere. However, just as an experiment, if I close that door again and pump another 1 atmosphere worth of pressure into here, this is now 1.5-ish, and this is slightly below a half. If I open the door again, they should both turn green. Okay, so there they go. And just for the sake of, for the experiment, I'm going to spam a bunch of oxygen into this room so it's super pressurized, and hopefully enough to fill the rest of the ship. I haven't done the math yet to see if the volume of this room is some fraction of the rest of this, so I just hit it, I don't know, 6 or 7 times. So now, if I open all of the other doors in the ship before I open up the chamber between the pressurized and depressurized thing, it'll show us, hopefully, these detectors switching on one by one as the gas slowly propagates from this side of the ship to the other side. It might go so fast that the 1 second update cycle doesn't catch it all. So we'll see what happens. Open the door, we wait, that room hit it, and then the rest, and then that. So it took the longest to get down here, but it was just a matter of 2 or 3 seconds before these are all pressurized, which in reality, in an actual spacecraft, that would probably send a huge rush of air and probably would throw debris all over the place, and maybe I'll have to model that if I ever have spare time. But we can do the reverse too. We can now leave all these doors open and depressurize the ship by opening the exterior airlock, and the game will just assume everything outside of the ship is infinite void with a near zero pressure. And if we do that, you should see the reverse effect. So again, the oxygen gets depleted from here almost right away, and then the rest of them catch up fairly quickly. And if there were anything in this ship that were not nailed down, it might get drawn towards the door. I've read that explosive decompression is not quite as powerful as we see in the movies, but it might be fun to have things like, I don't know, papers or whatever the spacefaring equivalent to detritus like papers and wrappers get blown out the door. But that basically shows off what I was trying to show you on Friday, hopefully with a little bit more context and explanation, and a little bit of the background on how these various systems work and how this all works together. Now, obviously, it's not much of a game. Right now, this is, I think I've said elsewhere, more of a collection of systems, and maybe it is the Jessie shell equivalent of a toy, but not quite a game. There's not really a loop other than, I don't know, trying to optimize the AI to get its sense of achievement or its sense of privacy. But that's all to come. Right now, I'm hoping that once I get all of these things connected via power and signaling conduits, I can start to do things that are more game-like. Maybe I can build a cockpit and one of the control panels controls where the ship is in the solar system and the airlocks and the air pumps, and then it might start to become more of a game as pressures are sort of working against the crew and the players trying to mitigate those problems. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching the video and hopefully cleared a few things up, and yeah, I guess I'll have to do a few more like this in the future as these systems become a little bit more interesting to watch. Have a good one.